Salutations, respected viewers. I am George from Ireland, and here I am on Dorset Square in London. It was formerly Dorset Fields. And it was on this spot on the 1st of June 1787 when the first cricket match was played on this site by the Marylebone Cricket Club. So the Marylebone Cricket Club, better known by its initials, the MCC, is perhaps the most celebrated cricket club in the world, though it's fair to say in the recent decades not the most successful. So here I am in Marylebone, which is an area of London, but if we go back to the 18th century, it was a village well outside London. We would be in the county of Middlesex. Only in 1889 was the county of Middlesex abolished and just absorbed into Greater London. So Thomas Lord was the man who laid out the cricket ground here. I'm not sure whether they used a rope or perhaps painted a line to show the boundary, and then they were playing off of their curved bats because the rules of cricket varied considerably in different parts of the country. Remember, trains weren't invented by George Stephenson till 1825, and therefore travel was very slow. The fastest you could travel was a galloping horse. So the rules of cricket varied considerably in different parts of the realm. Only in the 19th century, when people were travelling long distances, hundreds of miles in a single day, for a cricket match, did they say, well, we've got to standardise this, and they sat down and they decided what are the rules actually going to be. But the Marylebone Cricket Club was the governing body for the sport worldwide for quite some time. Obviously now there's the International Cricket Council. Anyway, after the Napoleonic Wars, the MCC moved about a mile northwest of here to its current ground of Lords. So notice Lords has that name not as in the aristocratic title, but because Mr. Thomas Lord was the man who was instrumental in setting up the MCC. Anyway, as you can see now, it's an enclosed private park, and only the householders around here, this very chic part of London, have keys and are able to get in there. And I'm not sure if ball games are permitted, but I often look into the park and I've never seen any cricket going on, certainly. Yeah, as I say, the MCC, you can go there to Lords. There's the clubhouse, be a member of the MCC, wear that distinctive canary yellow and crimson tie, striped tie, or should I say bands. They're thick stripes, if they're indeed stripes at all. And so you either have to be an incredibly accomplished cricketer or else very wealthy and pay to be on the waiting list for something like 20 years to get in, unless you're a cricket superstar, and that's that. And women weren't allowed in for a long time. I'm not sure even if they are. The only time I ever went in there was 1998. So what else about the MCC? Well, Lords is one of the English national cricket stadiums, that and the Oval. And the Oval is obviously south of the River Thames. Here we are north of the River Thames. So many distinguished matches have been played there. The MCC itself plays, though as I say, it's not that fantastic. So in England and Wales, it's a professional sport, as in they get paid for it, and well into the 20th century that wasn't considered acceptable. If you were a gentleman, you were an amateur, you played for the mere love of the sport, look at that resting seagull, and not for any pecuniary reward. But this is a bit impractical if you had to go on a tour of Australia and not even get any expenses. Eventually they allowed expenses, but they wouldn't allow salaries. But obviously by the late 20th century, it was completely professional. And they play, as I say, on a county by county basis. Middlesex against Lincolnshire, against Nottinghamshire, against Glamorgan, and blah blah blah. Now you don't actually have to be from the county that you play for. That's that. You could be from another country indeed. So that's the way it goes. Not a hugely popular sport. Obviously it's quite expensive, and the equipment is pricey, and you need a lot of space. Often only the more affluent people can actually play cricket. What else about, well, Lords, and perhaps I'll film over at Lords sometime. So it became a controversial issue in, I think it was 1969, when England and Wales selected Basil d'Oliveira to play for them. He was originally South African, partly white, Portuguese, as in the surname d'Oliveira, and partly Indian. And because of the Apartheid laws, non-whites were not allowed to play with sports with whites, not be on the same team, not be in the opposing team. And so Basil d'Oliveira, he couldn't get to first-class cricket in South Africa. He came here. After a while, he was accepted as English, and the South Africans said, no, that's not on. We will not play him. So the Springboks wouldn't play him. So England and Wales dropped Basil d'Oliveira, even though in terms of merit, he should have been on the team. Now, other people said, that is a disgrace. You're letting your teammate down. What kind of comradeship is that? And so it was a highly tendentious issue. But anyway, 1970 there's a big rugby tour to do with this because, as I say, South Africa would not allow the majority of their people, black people, Indians and so forth, coloured people as a mixed race, to play for their country, nor indeed would South Africa play any team which contained any non-white player. So in terms of rugby, there was a big campaign, Stop the 70, people trying to disrupt the Springboks tour of Great Britain and Ireland. But it also applied to cricket. Peter Hain, who was South African who'd moved to this country at the time, was an ardent anti-apartheid activist, founded the Fair Cricket Council. Some people in the MCC liked him, some of them didn't, said, oh, he's such a pain in the neck, why can't we enjoy our sport, we're not political people, stop dragging us into these controversial issues. But Hain and his crew, they discovered there was a disused bomb shelter near Lords, and they were planning to hide into it, and if the South African cricket team ever got to play on Lords, they would somehow burst out from under this bomb shelter, the anti-apartheid activists, and disrupt the match, try and make racist sport impossible. You've got to play everybody or you've got to play nobody. We're not going to have you banning people on the basis of their race, things like that. So give you some idea of what it's like around here at the original MCC ground. Well, that's that. That's a brief introduction to the MCC.